haven't seen Jadis Richard out here recently, although the DBs have like the unis rolled up. Is he injured or what's going on there?
Well, that's called swag, Robbie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's out. He'll be back. He's just going through a process. I expect him back either later this week or early next week.
CJ Taylor had a car accident. The photos look pretty brutal. How remarkable is it that he's back out and playing well?
Well, first of all, I feel grateful, and I started yesterday's team meeting. I'm grateful to have another day with both CJ and Gumbo. They were both in the car, and it was terrifying. And I was proud of the way our program responded to that. We had a number of people that showed up to greet them at the hospital, and it was one of those moments where this becomes a family. But it's not shocking that both CJ and Gumbo are back because they love football and they love what we're building and they're energized to be a part of it. We're lucky to have them, and I think it's a great reminder that that you never know. And certainly thankful for the first responders, thankful for the police department and VUPD for helping, and Vanderbilt Hospital. But luckily those guys came out and were able to come back to practice 2 days later. It's pretty remarkable.
You're less than 3 weeks away from kickoff. You always talk about team need to show consistency. Are you seeing that on the offensive side now that you've had a second week of practice now?
Yeah, I mean, I thought today was one of our better offensive days. Now again, like, to say that is to judge the day, and the question was around consistency. So I think it's how are we going to stack those days? How are we going to build off it? What I'm looking for from the offense is the routine play. Can we make the routine plays? Can we make the routine plays consistently? That'll open up the ability to be explosive. And so sometimes it's about the horizontal stretch early in a drive to tax the defense and then be able to go up top. We saw that today, but we need to see it tomorrow. So we got to keep at it. I do think I'm seeing steady progress there, and we've done it in the air. I think our receiver group is stepping up, and we've done it on the ground. I thought Mike had some impressive plays today, and he's going to argue for more off the film because I don't know that he was always touched, but that's what comes with wearing the red jersey. But pleased with the progress. Consistency is going to be about how we finish the week out.
The offense seems to have won the day in the run game a lot lately. How do you evaluate that on both sides of the ball?
Well, I think first of all, we as an offensive line, we're playing together. I think they're getting they're beating the defense, or they beat the defense to the punch today. And how that shows up to me is that you end up with defensive players down the middle of blocks. So we weren't playing on edges. We weren't cutting the ball off in our gaps, and it just allowed runs to bleed. I thought some of the more explosive runs were a product of both execution of scheme in the option game, and then just getting some the pressure on the defense to soften them up. There are going to be things defensively that we're going to come back to and say we have to do better, and in the moment we have to be both firmer and on edges and finish tackles better in space. But a good offense is going to put that pressure on you. So I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see that and again I saw explosive plays at the receiver position, at the running back position, the quarterback position. I think that's where we need to be.
You brought back obviously some pretty key contributors on both sides of the ball. But I mean, some of these younger guys, are you starting to see some guys out of that group that can help you?
For sure. Anytime you're talking about playing freshmen, I think you're always concerned about volume, and then inevitably the wall that presents, so there's both volume of scheme and then volume of work. And I think on the whole, those guys have responded well to the volume of work. When you recruit to a message and you recruit to an identity, the transition's a little more seamless. So, these guys are here because they love football. They're here because they're going to help build this program. And so they're not shocked by the work volume, and they're not shocked by, how much time we invest in our craft here. And so we're spending less time with the team as a whole, convincing them of what it takes, and more time coaching them through the process, which is really good to see. But certainly, I think we'll continue to see the young players and their transition, and we'll have a better idea after this weekend, who's ready to actually get out there and help us win a game.
How do you evaluate Quincy Skinner's camp?
I'm very positive on Quincy. I think, again, I think with that receiver group, the word consistency is going to come up a bunch. But what I see the identity. He's starting as a player. He's a strong catcher. He's a good route runner. You know, he's shown the ability to make plays in the red zone, which I think is going to need to be a signature for him. You know, those are things to be able to catch the ball, to catch it strong at the point. He's a bigger bodied receiver that can go up and get it as the field space shrinks. You know, those are things that if he continues, you know, he's gonna have a role in helping us win. So I'm pleased with his progress.
You brought up Mike Wright. Do you see him taking ownership since being named the starter, taking ownership of that position?
I see him stepping into that role, and you know, we need to help guide him into total ownership there. I mean, that's you know, that is, I mean, you know, we're still dealing with guys that are early in on their careers, and when you look at what the ownership of the quarterback position at the highest level looks like, I mean, those guys are impeccable in their process, impeccable in the way they respond and rally their teammates. And what I love about Mike is he's so willing, and he's exploring what that looks like for him. And I would just say, you know, he's got the job right now of being the one, so that kind of all eyes are on him. But equally as impressive has been the way Ken Seals has conducted himself in a leadership position, and also A.J. Swan as a guy who is still very early in on his career, but every day reveals a little more about what he's capable of. So I'm pleased with all three of those guys. I think when you talk about, you know, again, ownership over leadership role, ownership over the quarterback position, that's going to be a work in progress, but those guys are willing, and they're working towards that.
You've got 4 defensive linemen out. Any sense of when you get those guys back?
It all varies. Some of them are on their way back, which is exciting. You know, with Davian and Devin, I've kind of said this, that's going to be a little bit lengthy of a process, so those guys aren't day to day. You know, with CJ and BJ, you're looking at more kind of any day now to see them come back and contribute. You know, Braden Baps is going to be a little bit longer term. We got to see how he responds. We do expect to get him back though, and hopefully in time for Hawaii, but you know, we're going to wait and see on that. So they're on their way. You know, it's just a matter of time, and with Devin and Davian, those guys are just on a little bit longer rehab process.
Is there a cutoff date that if they're not back out here practicing at a decent speed by X date, then they're out for the opener? Or how do you evaluate that?
I think not from a standpoint of you know, there's no like threshold for us as coaches. You know, I think with a number of those guys, you know, they've played enough football or played enough football through spring and camp where we know that they know what they're doing. It's more about, you know, how they're functioning in terms of their physical health, and, you know, are they able to impact winning in that game? And that'll be a decision made by, you know, our athletic training staff, and, you know, in conjunction with our coaches.
So you're probably evaluating that more on the GPS data and stuff you get that tells you about what they're able to handle, more so than, you know, we need you in practice this many days.
That's right. It's all about how are we reaching our top speeds, how long can we hold those top speeds. And again, a guy that might normally be a starter, you might work his way back into playing 20 snaps, you know, and that's, if he's impacting winning for 20 snaps, we want him out there. If he's not able to do that, obviously, then we cater the approach according to what they can handle. But that's what we do. Yes.
I saw something about like Jeffrey Ugo and I think Savion Riley helping some older man who had a bad accident on the street. Like, what do you know about that?
Yeah, I'm, you know, very proud of those guys. They saw someone in need. They went to his aid. They stayed with him until help came, including you know, giving a T-shirt, giving one of their shirts up to use as a tourniquet on a wound, and then followed up afterwards too. And I know those guys didn't do it for the attention, but you know, I think it's an example of the character of people that we have in this program, and I'm proud of those guys. And you know, I think it was a great moment for them to step up and be helpful, and they did it.
Do you know the guy's doing okay?
You know, I don't know that. I'll have to follow up on that. Yeah, they may know. Anything else?
When's the cold tub?
It's right now. I'm going in.
Okay.
Usually
Is
head
Joey
first.
coming first?
Yeah. Joey doesn't get in the cold tub.
How did you evaluate what really worked and who was responsible?
Yeah, today was a big situational day. You guys saw we were in the goal line, we were in the red zone, we played something called war games. So there were a lot of different situations that came up, and a lot of those were short yardage situations. We got to line up and run the football. I thought our backs as a whole all had really good runs. Of course, it starts up front. It was really, until we watched the tape, it felt like we were very efficient running the football, and naturally when you can run it, it opens some things up in the passing game to allow us to get the ball in space, and some of our receivers made some plays as well because of our run game.
Is it by committee that you're going to be utilizing Rocco and everybody this season, or is it you're going to try and get one guy to carry the load?
We're going to be multiple in what we do. We got to get our best players on the field, and there's no question we feel like our running back group as a whole is one of our strongest positions, and we got guys that have experience that can play, and we're going to utilize their skill sets and use them differently and play to their strengths. But they're all three going to play, and we'll just be very multiple in how we use them and try to keep the defense off balance.
Now that you've been able to go live in full pads for a while, what do you what's the identity that you think that the offense is forming?
Honestly, we want to be able to run the ball when we need to run it, and we truly believe that if you can run the football, you're going to be able to throw the football. And for us, whether it's true handoff or some RPO game, that's all considered run game for us. We talk all the time. We got to take the space they're giving us. So oftentimes we're lining up and we're handing the ball off. Other times we're getting the ball in the perimeter, even though it's a run call, so on and so forth. And we truly got to be an offense that takes what they give us and make the routine play. The great offense I've been around can make the routine play, and over time that causes stress on the defense and creates those explosive plays that you need to be successful as an offense.
How do you evaluate Ray Davis to this point in camp?
Yeah, it's great to have Ray back. He's having a really, really good camp, and of course, had success. We got hurt last year, and we kind of knew going in how talented he was, and had a couple injuries. He's back full go and running the ball as good as he ever has, and doing things out of the backfield from a pass catching standpoint. He's a complete back, and he's a great pass protector too. So it's just nice to have a guy like that can really do it all, and you can use him in creative ways.
How confident are you O-line this year versus maybe last year?
Definitely more confident, and I think it comes just playing together, right? And we got a lot of good returners, and we got depth, and that's something that's huge. And when we line up those first five and then rotate 6 and 7 guys, and those guys have been playing next to each other for really 18 months now. And I think up front that goes a long, long way. And competition brings out the best in all of us. So when you have multiple guys that can play not just 5, those guys got to line up and play every day in practice. And I really think the group's elevating, and the competition is making everybody better, which as a result is making our offense better.
How close do you think you are to finding the first 5 there, as well as maybe like the 8 or however many that you end up playing in an actual game?
Yeah, we're getting there. There's no question. This is really our 3rd time going live. Of course, we went live last week a little bit, and then was hoping to have a big scrimmage, as you guys know, and got cut short. So we went live today just to get some tackle reps in, and so it'll be good to go back and watch the tape. And like you said, it felt good out there today. But as a coach, you watch the tape, it's never as good as you think, and never as bad as you think, and so we'll go evaluate it. But there's definitely guys standing out, and once you get to practice 9, 10, 11, there's a consistency standpoint that you're starting to see among certain people that also what we're looking for in an offensive line.
You've been consistent with your same 5 starters there. What does that say about the way they're able to communicate and play together as a unit?
Well, it's evident. And the one thing that was interesting, just how the rules changed a little bit this summer from what we were allowed to do with our players and so on and so forth. So when we started fall camp, we'd been with them in the summer. We weren't playing 11-on-11 football, but like it wasn't install 1. We were much farther along in our install, and so was the defense. So when we started fall camp, we were playing football. Normally it's kind of like install 1, base and base and base. And right away we were getting into, I think the first practice, we were base, we were red zone and 3rd down. So what it saw was normally as a young offensive line, when you start getting different looks in situational football, they struggle with it. And we kind of hit the ground running with how we were IDing things to be on the same page. And it was like, as a coach, like, this is pretty good for day one. And it goes back to the continuity and playing together for so long. Yeah.
We can't let you go without a quarterback question. So with Mike Wright, how have you seen him progress, and what does he need to continue working on?
Yeah, he's playing confidently, and that's something that you saw in the spring and has improved upon the summer. And he does a nice job of commanding the offense. And with Mike, he's an explosive player, as we know. And we talk about not just him, but the whole room. Is there's going to be enough plays they give you, honestly, in an 80-play football game. We got to make the available play, and we can't make a bad play worse. There's also times in an 80-play football game where the defense is going to win once or twice, and we got to do a good job of minimizing that, not making a bad play worse, playing for the next play, and just managing the game. And naturally, as he keeps improving upon that, he'll make the explosive plays that we're looking for.
Maybe this is hard for you to answer till you see film, but there was some issues, snaps and handoffs today. Were those bad snaps? What were we looking at?
Yeah,
there?
you know, honestly, I gotta watch the tape. You know, we were kind of going that black and gold. So I'm on one sideline and half the staff, and two of them I didn't actually see. I saw the ball on the ground. So I really don't know if it was a mishandled snap, a bad snap. Gotta see. I know this. It can't happen. You know, the ball was on the ground I think 3 times a day in that period. So it's something we got to address, and that goes back to not making bad plays worse and managing the offense and making sure we can control what we can control.
For you guys, McGowan, somebody who's probably going to have a role in what you're doing.
Yeah, Jaden, of course, it was an early enrollee, so that helps a ton. You know, he came in January, so he was with us for spring practice and kind of hit the ground running, had a great summer, and he's a guy that is an explosive kid that we knew in the recruiting process, but until you really get him here and work with him, but for a young kid, he's able to retain a lot of information. I think spring practice helped, but he'll definitely have a role for us.